Hi guys, Thomas here, and moving on with my continuation of a journey. This was something that I was not happen to have it, but it somehow suddenly ended the video, and it shut off. So I'm gonna shoot a couple more things, and there will be actually two videos instead of one. I apologize for that in advance. And this, of course, a second part of this first episode, possibly, where we actually took exploration of my childhood home and childhood parts. Right now, currently, we're just walking over 30 minutes of recording footage. This is actually below that. So this part one and part two, which is this one, which I'm filming currently, is of course will be uploaded. So I recommend watching the first part so you can actually understand why am I here, why I'm filming this, and whatsoever. Because I of course decided to take myself to get some fresh air and do some filming, because I really need some views, I really need some subscribers, and possibly a little bit of an interesting content to show you this. So this, of course, the part two of the first episode of the Thomas's tours around his city, a vlog, which is a vlog series, and this is, of course, another episode of the second part of the very first episode of that, where we explored my childhood home, and some other nearby places, and we're just going to continue on where we left off, and pretty much I'm not going to end this up here. It depends how long this will be taken, but the first part is actually been shot, and for some reason it has been taken to be seen for some kind, and possibly would be just rather interesting to just show this once I'm walking around and just continuing on. So this is, of course, a local place. This is, of course, called a company. Yeah, that was the word that I was looking for. A local company, and I just wanted to get a nearby footage of it as close as I could. There apparently is, of course, a sign that tells you that this is, of course, a private space, private working, and I have actually never ever seen this before. It's rather an interesting factory, and rather an interesting place. This is, of course, really interesting that what they just had. And apparently there are lots of different cars around, because there's, of course, a spacing in spacing, and there's, of course, a road up there. And if I just kept walking past this, which I unfortunately couldn't, due to this being, of course, in a really horrible situation. I'm not so sure who owns this place in the first but whoever owns this should be aware of the situation that this is actually in. I hope some nice guy owns this place rather. I'm not going to bother the owner and talk about him so that he possibly can give me tour of it. But I'm going to show you a couple different things before I just move on to the to the left side, to what's on my left side, and to show you that. And before then, here is, of course, another gate. And as you can see, this gate can actually show that there is, of course, a railway, and it's, of course, a private spacing, and as you can see, the object, or the spacing, is actually locked. Is rather locked. There is, of course, by a just electrical voltage, and of course it is been taken care of. So now I'm going to move on to what was on my left, but now it's on my right, and I'm going to move on to that way and show you something really interesting to kind of get that get that going, and possibly we just supposedly will have pretty interesting things and pretty interesting things to show you. And walking around this pathway of trees, bushes, and this strange-looking building near me, I almost tripped over, but I did not. So, as you can see right here, it's rather interesting to kind of show this around and just doing excuse me, doing this, and I have actually went into another side, or specifically another part of this place. There is of course some foresty area which leads into the secondary part of the road. You can just see it from this point. Whenever a certain car would go in there, there's of course that road, and as you can see right here, this is of course the old playground. I'm just gonna zoom in here. There it is. There it is, the playground that's been there. It is actually owned by this local pub, as I mentioned in the first part. And of course, once you walk into it, there's of course appears to be some kind of home, and this is of course another not a local, but actually private space. It is of course possibly closed because this actually opens whenever the pub is opened. Whenever the pub opens. So if the pub seems to be closed, then that is closed with it. And you can just see a lot of different things. This is of course another private place, which is part of the kindergarten, local kindergarten. I went when I was a lot younger, in the late 2000s. Not early because I was away,